Hey guys, welcome to Hashtag Behind Relationship Goals. I am Fofo.
And I'm Bones.
This episode is sponsored by Decena's Puto, Calasiao.
Oh.
This is like our first, well, technically second sponsored podcast.
Yes.
The podcast is growing, guys. Thank you so much. That is all because of all of you. You guys are amazing. So please continue to support. And for the first time, I am asking everyone to like and subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah, because we don't usually
do that. But back to our sponsor, Decena's Puto, Calasiao. You can see their products here in front of us.
If you're watching on YouTube.
And they look absolutely
beautiful.
And they taste as good as they look. So before we continue with the podcast, maybe just a couple of stories about this and how this partnership happened.
Okay, so I really love kuchinta and puto. And there are just some occasions, girls, you know it, when you have those cravings. So I asked Fofo to look for Puto and kuchinta while it was on lockdown. And eventually, he found the Decena's Puto on Instagram. Mm-hmm. You're chewing. You ate before me.
Guys, it's so good. So, Bonizi was craving, and I fulfilled the craving because I found the Decena's Puto Calasiao online. It's a family-run business, and it started with the parents, but now that the kids are handling the marketing, they decided to shift marketing strategies online. And ang ganda ng ganawa nilang effort. When you go to Decena Puto on Instagram, you will see what I mean from the branding and the marketing. They're really pushing it. Because of such a good experience with their product, we decided to give them a call
and reach out to them.
And they were willing to partner with the podcast. We're just really happy to be able to help one another out. This isn't just us helping them. This isn't just them helping us. During this time of crisis and tough business climate,
uncertainty also,
it just feels really nice that there's this sense of helping each other out during these times. So with that, please head over to Decena Puto on Instagram and you can order yourself a bilao of puto, kuchinta, or both.
Yes, just like me, and satisfy your cravings.
Yeah, back to the podcast.
All right, so this week on the podcast, we're going to tackle something interesting. And I use the word interesting because we had a little podcast episode with Boom Gonzalez, Joy Spring, and Juancho Trevino the other day. Interesting was a word that came up because we didn't want to use words like fight or hate, but we're going to use those words today.
Why is that? What is the topic of our episode?
Okay. You know, when you have a relationship, you always talk about love, how much you love your partner, how much you love the things that you do together. But of course, there's always the complete opposite to love, which is the word hate.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about the things I hate about you.
Yeah,
okay? But you know what? It's so nice and so apt that we're doing this topic because behind relationship goals is supported by this topic, basically.
Yeah,
it was born out of this topic.
It's born out of the realities behind a relationship, which isn't always lovey-dovey. It's not always going to be good times.
Megan and I would always post on Instagram, and a lot of the audience and followers would comment, "Oh, wow, goals, sana all." And it came to a point, and I was like, Bones, parang, are we deceiving them? We really ask that. Are we deceiving them? I want to be able to let them know na, no, we aren't goals. We're a normal couple who goes through normal things. We go through fights. We go through major ups and major downs. It was born out of that conversation to decide na, oh my God, let's do this podcast. Mm-hmm. Things have come full circle. Now that we're at this episode. So the things I hate about you. It's something we're going to explore. And we actually discussed this beforehand. Usually we talk off the cuff. When it comes to remembering things, sometimes you need a little bit of time. So I asked Bones, try to remember what was the first thing you hated about me. And when we use hate, there are varying degrees of hate.
Yeah,
There's
it's not necessarily.
Hate. Like, really, oh my God, I'm going to do something to you violently.
Wow, may ganon?
Well, of course, there's that level of hate. That's true. It's a reality.
Yeah, okay.
But of course, there's also the hate na, ikaw talaga.
Bakit kailangan may action?
Para lang makita nila.
Ikaw, giginyan kita.
Please lead. Ladies first. While I eat the puto.
Wow, I was gonna say, ikaw muna, para makakain ako ng puto. Okay, so I made a list. Maybe the first time that I felt some level of hate, it was a very light kind of hate, I would say. I think another word for hate that we could use is dislike. It was something that I started to dislike about Mikael. It was the fact that he was always quote unquote right.
This was like early on.
This is early on.
Year one?
Maybe year 1, year 2, I guess, of
Okay.
the relationship. By now, you guys all know that when Mikael has a point, he tries to justify it in the best way possible. But early on in the relationship, I would say that you were a very different person. The way that you would tackle things is very much the same, but our views were in some ways different because of our upbringing. He was always right because he could always justify it to make sure na siya yung tama. If I had an opinion about something, would that not be good enough kasi hindi pareho nung sayo? Parang I would have these thoughts back then na parang it would make me question the opinions that I would have before because I couldn't justify it the way that you would. In some ways, I think there was like a bit of insecurity there na I couldn't be like you and justify your thoughts the way that you could. But at the back of my head also, I was like, parang hindi naman yata tama yung nasa isip niya. Pero why does it seem na tama siya parate?
Because I'm manipulative. Really interesting that you started with that. So I will jump off from what you said.
Okay.
Because I have a list as well, but you reminded me of something as well.
Okay.
The one thing I hated about you, even early on, year 1, 2, 3, maybe up until now a little bit.
Okay.
I hated that you never fought back. Bonizi is non-confrontational. I would not necessarily say I'm confrontational, but I'm very direct.
And you like to tackle things head on.
And right away, immediately. And for me, when there was an issue, the biggest problem I had was that when I would talk to Bones, she would not respond. Literally, she would just keep quiet. Okay, I realize this is still a problem up until now.
Yeah, it is.
Diba? Kasi, okay, we're talking about an issue. It's not necessarily me calling her out or her calling me out. Let's say we're just talking about an issue and I'm very passionate about it. Bonizi's literally...
Silence.
And everything I'm saying requires that she just give
conversation,
her
yeah.
feedback. That she respond, not just listen. Listening is just one thing. I know it's important, but you have to respond, and she does not. And that would frustrate me to the highest heavens. Like, it's crazy how much that would frustrate me. So I really did not like that about you, Bones. And you know that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I couldn't voice that out in the middle of a heated or passionate conversation. Like, you would have to wait for a separate time to do that because it just would not hit the way you would want to. So that's one thing I really did not like about you. When it does happen, I still don't like it, just so you know. And you know that.
I know that, Fofo.
But here's another thing. Connected to that and connected to what you were saying, I was so used to justifying my point and taking a stand and giving my opinion. And because Bonizi is more used to just keeping quiet and not giving feedback, obviously, it was more difficult for you to explain yourself and explain your side and your opinion. So naturally, you would be frustrated because it's something you wouldn't do. And the only way you can get better at it
is
was
if I
to get
try.
out of your shell and try. I think that was a huge point of growth for Bones and a huge difficulty in our relationship because I wanted her to try. She needed to be able to respond. Kasi paano kung hindi ako yun? Paano kung yung iba kayong kausap niya? She's gonna leave that other person hanging. What if it's business and they require a response and tulala si Bones? I can happily say that Bones has been able to come out of her shell.
Yeah.
Big time. Of course, there are still moments and issues that she becomes very afraid and very cautious, but definitely at least a 500% increase in terms of skill level.
It's been a journey, honestly, like me getting out of my shell. Even like going back, diba, I would say na I would get frustrated at you for being able to justify. I would also get frustrated at myself kasi iniisip ko, bakit hindi ko kaya? Like, can't I just say it as smoothly and as nicely as Mikael? And the times that I'd try, sobrang sablay, which would derail my confidence even more.
In other words, yung sinasabi ni Bonizi, magaling ako mang bola. And the only way to counter someone na magaling mang bola, or other words, magaling mag-explain or magaling mag-express lang in words. Kasi may ganun eh. The only way to counter them is to respond. And that was my frustration. I felt manipulative. I didn't want to be manipulative, but because Bonizi would not say anything, she would not respond to me. She'd just be like, na parang tama na lahat ng sinasabi ko. I'm like, no, it can't be that way. You need to respond to me. You need to tell me something because even I don't feel good. Ako lang yung nagsasalita and biglang oo ka na lang sa sinasabi ko. Kasi imposible na tama ako sa lahat ng sinasabi ko.
I remember there was a moment that we were in the car and we had just come from seeing family friends. You were like in a mood that day and I didn't like how you were responding to the people around us. Usually I don't call you out. I'd be understanding and stuff like that, but I just didn't like how your reactions were. I called him out. And this was probably one of the first times that I ever called Mikael out for something that I didn't like na ginawa niya. I told him straight. I was like, hey, I love you, but I didn't like how you were responding to these people because these are people that I care about. These are people na I became friends with in the past and I didn't appreciate how you responded to them. And then Mikael was really quiet for the next 10 minutes after I told him that. And then I remember that you said, thank you. I really appreciate you talking to me. Tapos after that he was like,
Good job, Fofo.
I'm so kilig. you were like I'm so kilig kasi you were honest to me. And Bones, like, do you realize this is probably the first time that you've been this upfront to me, and I'm so happy that you were able to tell me that.
Let's take that situation. In that nutshell, Bonizi made me a better person. And that's exactly what responding does. That's what getting out of her shell does to me. She makes me a better person. I want her to be a better person. But if she doesn't respond, I just look like a worse person.
Yeah.
So you have to think about that because in the context of other relationships, this is a problem or an issue or a concern that a lot of people go through. Na may isang mas imposing, may isang mas eloquent, may isang mas magaling mag-express, but that doesn't mean that the opposite person or the counterpart should not try. You have to try. Okay, yes, maybe you're not so good at expressing yourself, but the only way you can get better is by actually doing it.
Yeah, and honestly, it's gonna suck. Like, the feeling is gonna suck when you try to do these things. Like, nawala yung confidence ko every time. Like, I would make a mistake in trying to express myself. Sometimes I would say things too harshly. Like, walang lambing yung sinasabi ko because I'd be too direct naman. So, like, these things would really hurt my confidence, honestly, because I felt like, can't I be a better partner to Mikael? How can I do this if I can't even, tackle this obstacle that I have?
That was nice. That was a nice situation. I didn't think we were going to start off so heavy, but it was very real. There were really two sides to that. You were getting hurt because you weren't responding, but I was also getting hurt because you weren't responding. It was really just a situation where kailangan lagi there's effort on both parties.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to realize na baka nga hindi lang ikaw yung nasasaktan. Like, baka pareho din kayo nasasaktan sa nangyayari. So, it's important that, again, you guys talk about it and you see situations from two sides of the story. It's okay if it feels a bit heavy because it's real. And I think that's the most important thing about the podcast is that we be real with the situations with the people that listen to the podcast.
And because of that, you get a puto.
Strawberry.
Okay, so while Bonizi is chewing, can I move on to another thing that I hate about you? Okay, I have a couple of silly things, but definitely very real. This might have been the very first time I experienced some sort of dislike, just a negative feeling, or not necessarily negative, na parang na-off ako ng konti.
Okay.
With Bonizi. The few girls who I have dated or texted with, textmate, or went out with and partied with, marami sa kanila very demure or very super ladylike to a fault to a certain extent. During the first time, I think, that Bonizi rode with me in the car, we were driving down Timog. I was teasing her, syempre, landi-landian. Yun yung flirting ko, teasing ng konti.
Okay.
So I was teasing her and then nag-respond si Bones in a way that caught me off guard. I was like, yak, bakit ka ganyan? Parang example lang, yak, bakit ka ganyan? And then Bonizi all of a sudden goes, whatever, pak. Parang ganon. And I was like, what did she just do? Diba? Do you remember what she said? It was something like whatever. And then she had these hand signs.
So, what me, Lauren, and Sab used to do is so funny. We would go like, whatever, and we'd stick out our fingers like this. So, parang W siya. And then we'd take out the other hand, and then we go like, pansit canton, because it looks like a fart, and we're just like, whatever. That was parang pansit canton.
Parang whatever, pak. And I was driving driving and I was so distracted. Like, I was so disturbed because I was like, Nick, jologs mo, bro. Yun talaga yung naisip ko. Kasi, syempre, I mean, I was coming from experience from my previous...
Sabihin mo na lang sa konyo background mo.
Oo. So, first time ko maka-experience ng ganun, may kanto vibes jologs vibes. I'm sorry.
Nakita mo yung
but that
totoo
was what I felt. I'm being honest, guys, for you.
And this was way back then.
Oh my God, what did she just do in my head? Of course, I was keeping cool. Di ako naka-respond eh. Do you remember doing that?
Yes, I do.
Oh my God. That was the first thing. But over time, it became a blessing. Because she shared some of those canto vibes with me. And medyo na-canto-fy ako ng konti. Hindi naman konti, ng malaki. And I like it. Bonizi and I, we shared our worlds to one another and we willingly immersed ourselves. Pero syempre, yung first encounter with each other's worlds, may shock factor talaga.
May shock factor. Kahit nga ako sa'yo nun eh.
Tama. Yung beso lang sa tito, hindi pwede shake. Kailangan.
Oo. Another thing that I found a bit off about Mikael. Like, I loved his personality. I loved how outspoken he was and how he would tell stories. But if there was one thing that really would catch me off guard, was the loudness of his voice. He talks like he has a megaphone in his hands all the time, up until this day. He talks so loud, like it's insane.
I'm never gonna talk again.
No, I love you. But it's just his natural voice. He has like, para siyang nasa theater palate. I remember the first time that I noticed how loud his voice was. Because usually it's just the two of us, so his voice doesn't get super loud. And the one time we were probably like with friends in a restaurant and you got excited about a topic we were talking about, and then you just go, oh my God! And then just like the whole restaurant just goes, Meh. Who was that? And then you just start talking like super loud, like, oh my God, like, yeah, like this thing. And then it was so exciting. And then I was just like, oh my God, nakakahiya siya. Ang langan ng boses niya. And then parang I had to go like, Popo, shh, Popo, your voice is too loud. And he just goes, okay, sorry. And then he goes, yeah, then. So, continuously, ang lakas ng boses niya. It's something that I have to constantly remind Mikael. I don't like hate it about you, but it's just like shocking sometimes. I'm just like, oh my gosh, Fofo, are you not aware of your own voice?
I'm not aware of my own voice. I'm sorry. Up until this day, I am not aware of my own voice. Baka sira yung microphone sa tenga ko. Hindi niya naririnig ng tama.
It's funny because like, syempre I work from home, so we have a lot of online meetings. Mikael doesn't usually use a headset when he does these meetings, but he gets excited. And his voice is like pasigaw na when he talks to people. This thing for GMA like a couple of weeks ago, and he was hosting it and being excited, and then he just goes, yeah, and then the whole house was like vibrating with your voice.
I'm becoming a tito, Bones. You know how your titos answer the cell phone. Hello, how are you po? Can you hear me?
Syempre, I couldn't be like, uy, Fofo yung boses mo. So I had to like wave at him pa. Syempre, yung concentration niya nasa laptop, so hindi niya ako nakikita agad. And I was just like, Fofo, your voice is too loud. It's too loud. People like from the end of the hall can hear you.
I will try to be a different person next time.
Wow, your voice is so different right now. I'm not used to it.
Sexy voice na lang ako from now on.
So,
Smooth
yeah.
and sexy. Hindi maganda.
Hindi maganda.
I have another one.
Okay.
There was one point where I absolutely hated where Bonizi lived.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
So the first time that we met, Bonizi was living around the Scout area. And then eventually she moved to Santa Mesa area. Tama ba yun? But the thing is, I love driving. And I really don't mind driving, especially to my girlfriend at that time. Mm-hmm. And especially at night, because I would drive at night and wala na masyadong kotse. But I also like driving in the highways where you can drive nice, smooth, dire-diretso, relatively fast. Mm-hmm. Pero when Bonizi moved to Santa Mesa area, hassle. Ang daming stoplight, ang daming pasikot-sikot, ang daming lubak. Yung driving experience ko naging torture.
No, and it was really traffic kasi ang daming ginagawa sa daan nung time na yun.
Diba? So I was like, oh my God. Every time I would go to her, and I was like, I hate going here.
You know what else? I didn't have internet at home because I couldn't afford internet at that time.
Yeah, and medyo masama yung signal.
Masama yung signal ng LTE ko. I didn't have internet because I couldn't afford it at that time. So there are a lot of factors to that place that you didn't like.
I would really look for all the ways to not go to her during that time. And it was tough because I liked going to her, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, kulang na lang, kunan kita ng Grab, pero hindi pa yata uso yung Grab.
Wala pang
nun
Grab
eh.
nung time na yon. I really had to drive to go to you.
Yeah.
Mas ako yung pumupunta sa bahay nila. Nung
Yeah,
time
because
na
she
yun.
didn't really mind. I mean, you did mind the driving experience, but just not as much as I did.
In fairness, tinatansya natin yung times for driving. I would go to your house after rush hour and it would take me like 15 minutes to get to your house without traffic. If not, it would take me an hour.
Yeah, but that never blew up into a real issue, but it was
No.
definitely something that I remember. It scarred my driving experiences during those times.
Sorry, buti na lang I moved out of there soon enough.
Okay, but there, do you have another one?
The flow for this podcast is more of a para siyang list. Like the list talaga.
It's a listicle.
A list. Like, but it's like the movie. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Ah, yeah, it
Diba
is.
she has a list of things that she hates about the guy.
I don't remember, but I got that from the title.
Okay, well, we can rewatch it later.
Before we get to the next thing on the list, I would just like to remind everyone that this podcast and this episode is sponsored by Decena's Puto Calasiao. You can order your own bilao at Decena Puto on Instagram. So please do. It's really, really good. And we are supporting small businesses during this struggling business climate here in the Philippines and globally. So tulungan tayo. It is Bones and Fofo approved.
Yes, if you guys are wondering what kind of flavor to get, my favorite personally is the ube puto and the kuchinta. All right, so going back to the list. I think the next thing that I hate about you, this is something that I still bug you up until this day, is that Mikael leaves his floss wherever he last flossed his teeth. He could be flossing his teeth beside his computer and he will leave the floss there. He could be flossing at the dining table and he'll leave the floss on the dining table. And he could be flossing even in the bathroom. And yet, for some reason, it still does not reach the trash can and it's probably just on the sink. So that is one thing that I hate about you, Popo.
Lara, nakaramdam ako ng hiya dun, Wala
I'm
rin ako.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Wala rin akong comeback. Nahiya ako. I was like, okay, I'm speechless.
Speechless.
I'm speechless. Okay.
I'm sorry. Oh.
I want to walk out now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
kidding. No, okay, but I felt that. You hurt me once. You made me feel something there.
Well, at least it's effective. Are you gonna do something about it? Hope was really embarrassed. I can see it in his face.
Okay. Okay.
I still love you though.
I would like to come back from that low point of myself in this episode. Another thing that I hated about you,
Hated. Okay.
how dare you, is, well, I mentioned this before, but I hated that she didn't know her food in the Philippines.
Oh yeah.
So she wasn't very aware of what restos were supposedly yummy. Of
Hindi
course.
ako cultured. Sorry.
No, I don't want to. I didn't want to use that. I don't like that word. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm not. That's kasi preference yan eh. Like, syempre, there were some very well-known restaurants now for most people masarap, pero there's still a chance na hindi patok doon sa preference
No, and
mo.
I think it's also privilege to be able to go to these
Yes.
restaurants. I was not exposed to these restaurants kasi
Yeah.
taga-probinsya ako. Malay
Yeah.
ko ba na may ganitong restaurant?
So frustrated ako kasi yun nga, I explained before that I would take Bonizi out on these dates to restaurants na masarap yung pagkain, pero syempre medyo mahal. So nag-iipon ako para dalihin siya doon. And when I take her there, yun pala, hindi siya hyped. Kasi usually when I would take my previous girlfriends there,
Wow, ang dami ha.
isa lang naman. When I would used to take out other girls, parang hype na hype sila. Uy, wow, bongga yung guy na to. He's taking me here. Kay Bonizi, wala. Wow effect. Nothing. She's like, okay, cool. Steak tayo. Karne.
Na-challenge ka.
Ano to, malaking tapa?
Yeah, totoo.
I was
Ano ba yung steak?
so I would be watching her, waiting for that great reaction, and she's like, too big, please.
What
Oh my
reaction! One thing that I used to hate about Mikael was that he didn't like to plan. He would be so spontaneous that it would rattle me to the core. I loved being able to do research, and Mikael will obviously say that I research for like far too long than I need to. But I just hated na siya zero research. Kung ako OA sa research, siya zero. So I was like, how is this guy gonna know what he wants to do, where he wants to go, how much money he's gonna spend, kung hindi siya magre-research ng kahit na ano. And I would get so frustrated, and I hated that about you, especially when we first started traveling together.
I remember a moment when we were traveling. It was possibly in Japan or Hong Kong.
Okay.
This is where we found middle ground for this thing that you hated about me. I wanted to go. I think, let's assume we were in a coffee shop and I just wanted to explore. And Bonizi wanted to stay in the coffee shop and research. And her research was probably going to take easily an hour. Easily. So I said, let's just walk down a road. I'll hold your hand and you can research on your phone while we're walking. So we're exploring the unknown while you are researching. So I remember that moment distinctly. That was the compromise that we both had. I just like it. I just like being able to go out into the unknown spontaneously and be surprised, because it's nice being surprised. But I also appreciate that I have a partner who likes researching. So while we're getting surprised, we're also coming up with a plan.
Yeah, we kind of met in the middle there. Like Mikael was open to me researching, but I also had to adjust my research time. Kailangan efficient tayo sa research natin, girl. So I had to like really cut down and really figure out what it was that we wanted to do.
Now that I think about it, Bones, we've voiced out the things that we've disliked. There were some things that we just remembered now after a very, very long time. I think it's also quite important just going back to the foundation of our relationship, which is really honesty. This is part of it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, we're having fun.
Yeah.
But this exercise is difficult if you're doing it for the very first time.
Yeah, and if you guys remember, we said earlier in the episode that we really did have struggles as a couple trying to even tell each other na, I don't like this about you. Because when you love someone, what you want to do is show them all the love and respect that you have for them. Pero hindi naman natin maiiwasan that there are some things that we don't agree with our partner.
So maybe here's a challenge for all the couples that are watching, or even those who are single and have friends or best friends or siblings who they'd like to talk to. Maybe a challenge is, why don't you tell them something that not necessarily hate, but start light. Something you dislike about them that you've never been able to say so. Maybe after watching this podcast, baka nakaarangkada kayo eh.
Yeah.
Baka nakakuha kayo ng buwelo eh. So try it out and let us know. Hopefully you don't fight, because that's not what this is about.
Yeah, always remember that when you say something, it's about how you say it that people will react to it. If you're going to act aggressive, baka mamaya aggressive din yung balik sa'yo. If you're going to act with sincerity, then maybe they will see that. But always remember that you should be the better person when you do this, and you're saying these things because you care about these people.
Yeah, so hopefully, because we were able to kind of set the mood, hopefully it turns out to be a funny conversation where you're like, ay, talaga, matagal mo na palang ayaw yun. Sana ganun, and make us kwento in the comment section. We really like it when you react to our podcast with your own stories, because it really shows us now, wow, we're feeling, other people also feel what you guys are feeling. We also feel it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to be able to have, an audience na, okay, nakaka-relate talaga sila.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now we move on to the loaded question of the week. Ding, 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 ding.
So the loaded question of the week is, what will make you permanently hate someone you love?
I think when it comes to the person you love, it's not only just in a couple kind of relationship. I think this can also spill over to like family and friends.
Okay.
Your relationship goals, it's not just between partners. We have so many different kinds of relationships in our lives. But
This is tough. This is a tough loaded question, I
it
must
is.
say.
It is. But, it's something that we should discuss, because I think the both of us have been through this type of experience.
Definitely.
Definitely. So what will make you permanently hate someone you love?
For me, the first thing that came to mind, although permanence is difficult for me because I don't super believe in that.
Yeah.
But something that would make me really dislike you at that moment would be if you suddenly give up on yourself. Because let me give you, my mom, and my siblings as an example. I love you guys, so I will do everything I can to help you when you are in need. And when you need something. So that means I will give all of myself to you. But the thing is, the moment you give up on yourself, any kind of help that I give will amount to absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
The only time that the help I give will matter is if you're also willing to help yourself. So the moment you tell me that you're giving up and you're not going to try, be it a major decision in life or just a minor thing, to continue going to the gym or something, I need to know that you won't give up on yourself and that you're gonna keep on trying. Kasi what's the point of giving up in life, diba?
Yeah.
Because you're living nga. Diba? Your life has not stopped living. You might as well keep on going and keep trying. At least that's my mindset. Yeah, mahirap. Yeah, maraming pagkakamali, maraming downs and pitfalls. But you know that already. Everybody knows that. It's a fact that it's going to happen to everyone time and time again. So you might as well just keep on trying because I'm going to keep on helping. Let's not make my helping go to waste, and let's not make your efforts go to waste. That's how I feel about it. I don't want to let Bonizi down because she's helping me. And the only way I can make you helping me matter is by me continuing to grow and just trying.
Ang sweet naman nun.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, ako naman. What would make me really, really dislike someone that I love? Syempre, in our life, we always have arguments with the people that we love. Like, I've had a lot of arguments with you, with my siblings, your siblings. So we've had various arguments over there. But my love for them doesn't stop, definitely. I don't hate any one of you. There might be some things that I dislike about some of you. But when does hate overpower love, diba? I think what would make me permanently dislike someone is if...
Okay, so Bonizi is having a hard time trying to get her thoughts into words, but I know exactly what she's talking about. Just correct me if I'm wrong. So that's a very real situation where your loved ones say, I'm done with you. And it could be from various factors. So many factors could do that. Maybe they're going through something, or maybe you guys had an internal fight, or maybe you did something that would make them give up on you. But when a loved one gives up on you for reasons that you don't understand because they can't communicate it, then I think that is what Megan is saying would really turn her off. Kasi akala ko mahal mo ako. Bakit hindi mo kaya i-communicate kung ano nangyari dito?
Yeah.
Bakit sumuko ka sa akin?
Parang no matter how hard you try to figure out the reason, hindi nila nasasabi sa'yo. And you can't find ways on how to help them. And you feel helpless. Like, I don't necessarily think na it's a form of hate that I have, but it's more confusion.
Yeah. And you had to let go because they didn't want anything to do with you. They didn't want to help you anymore.
No, tsaka parang ayaw na nila ng tulong.
Yeah.
So parang I felt na siguro my efforts are going to waste. No matter how hard I try, it just feels hopeless. And that's when it comes to what you said na kung ayaw nilang tulungan ang sarili nila, then you feel like, okay, maybe I'm not needed.
Yeah, so bale, Megan loves this person, pero itong tao na to, nag-disengage na siya eh. So,
Nag-disengage. Siya na nauna.
You're trying to relate to a brick wall.
Yeah.
Or something that's non-existent, not even a brick wall. There's nothing there anymore. Yeah, I think that is your answer to that question. Definitely, malalim ang hugot ni Bonizi dyan. But I think I was able to help you answer that question nicely.
Thanks, Fofo.
Okay, and with that, I think this podcast has come to an end. That was quite interesting.
Very
I like the
interesting.
stories.
Tsaka of various degrees yung topic natin.
Yeah, but let's end on a happy note. I would like to remind everybody that this episode is sponsored by Decena's Puto Calasiao. One last story before we end this podcast. Decena's Puto Calasiao started on the roadside of White Plains, yung mukhang drag strip na yan. When you see their evolution and eventually when you go to their Instagram page, which I hope you guys go to, it's
At Decena Puto.
They've really leveled up and they've adapted to this climate which is very reliant on online marketing and online selling. And ang galing lang ng ginawa nila. Also because me as a student in Katipunan, I would always pass that drag strip and I loved this Puto Calasiao.
Yeah.
May connections rin sa childhood ko yung puto na ito.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so happy that we were able to partner up. I would just like to ask everyone to continue to support SMEs, which is small and medium enterprises. We're all just trying to grow and survive this very unique situation that we have.
Well, thanks guys for listening to the podcast. Hope that you can also answer our loaded question of the week. Just put your answers in the comments. Kung nakarelate man kayo sa pinag-usapan namin today, please do not feel shy or afraid to share your stories because nakakakuha kami ng hugot din dyan.
And I hope you guys also appreciate our growing set. This podcast studio hopefully will be a mainstay for weeks and months to come. We'll slowly add more things. You have Soba, Pikachu, a little light, some crates, some Puto in front of us. But on that note, thank you for watching. I'm Fofo.
And I'm Bones.
Bye.
Bye.